Hello, friends. Victoria here with Lead from Home, a resource for anyone that's interested in increasing visibility and their accessibility to the consumer in the online ESL teaching platform. Today's video is specific to teacher IT problems. Oh, the bane! Especially since we invest so much money and time into learning our equipment, setting up our equipment properly, but yet there are still trouble or challenges in the classroom. So what can we do to prevent the dreaded teacher IT? As you know, if we have an IT challenge, we are charged for the class. So how do we prevent this from happening? But while we're in the classroom, what can we ourselves do to troubleshoot and to show that we are doing this in the process? Say, for example, the student is going in and out. Now, to make sure that the distinction is there, that the trouble is on the student side, here are a few things that we can do. Not to shift the blame over to the student or the challenges, but to show that we have done our due diligence and done our best to make the learning environment to reduce the tech challenges. Okay, so one thing that we can do is change lines. If you are in the teaching platform, you can go to the top box where our window is and call for the fireman. Here's a picture now. We can call for the fireman and let them know. We can scroll down and say student IT troubles, or I think the correct saying there is unstable audio and video student. So I choose that if I see the student going in and out most of the time. That's 100% of the time. Now, if this is, and I'll speak specific to audio just right here, let's put a timeout, little pause. If there is an audio issue, say for example, when you first enter a classroom and you've checked your audio to make sure that it was good, but you're still not hearing the student, this can be, and I have found that this is most often occurring in the new major course classes. So that's okay. Change lines automatically. Logging in and out may not be feasible because you may lose the signal altogether or the connection. So I just want to say switch lines, make sure that the fireman is aware, and it usually triggers the response to capture your headphones. Now, if there are other issues, I do have a tech video that goes step by step about some of the things that you can do, and a PDF for that as well. All right, that was from a while ago, but I just wanted to put that in there because I am seeing a notable increase in a specific, maybe it's a specific regular that I see often, and this is just something that I know ahead of time that I can do right away and eliminate that within the first 2 minutes of class if there's a challenge. I don't like to give any more than 2 minutes to any tech issues, but there you have it. There's my quick tip to making sure that you're picking up the audio from the student, not necessarily refreshing. That may not do it for an audio issue. You might need to change lines. Once you recognize that there is an IT issue, maybe the student is no longer saying something and you can kind of look and see that their eyes are focused on a specific thing. Usually they're looking for the same thing that we have on ours, which would be to call the fireman or to change lines or to refresh. I've noticed that in some of my newer classes, there is a kind of a flash notice that comes up, and maybe if I'm lucky, I'll be able to catch that and screenshot that for you all for this video. But that notice says the system has identified the student has an unstable internet connection. Now, that same prompt that we are seeing, the student is also seeing it, and it is in both languages, Chinese if you're in the vipkid platform, and English for us to read. Now, this brings up a big, a key factor for me is communication. Now, I haven't done this in the past, but I can see the sense in this. In other ways, it becomes evidence of what we are doing to follow the steps to make sure that the student is having a nice learning environment without tech interruptions. So one thing is to announce that there is an issue. First, contact the fireman. That's if it hasn't been resolved. Like I said, if there's a known audio issue that may arise, go ahead and do that troubleshooting first. But you may want to put that in there in the feedback for the LP and to the fireman. Go ahead and note that down. You might even timestamp it or what have you. I have started to utilize the chat box. You can say student's name or whatever. It becomes a working dialogue or monologue in some cases if the student is unavailable that is notified of your process. You can say changing lines, checking my internet service connection. Now I choose not to put that in there, but for my personal thing, I do, if I notice that they are going out constantly, I make a visual check and I might take a snapshot, a picture of it. And again, if you reference the previous video that I have for tech, and we'll go ahead and put a picture here, but it is that square window on your vipkid. Here we have it. Good. That you can take a picture, a screenshot, and it saves immediately. You can save it. You don't have to put a name to it or a title. If it is the most recent one, it will pop up in your downloaded items. All right. So you can also do a speed test. I don't recommend this if you're in the classroom, but I do recommend it that after an IT issue, if you have a break and there isn't a class immediately after, go ahead and run a speed test. You can do this on the internet. Let's go ahead and put a link in the description box for one that's free and it just runs the process. Now, I know that AT&T has one on their mobile app that if you go down to check their speed test, you can automatically see it. And I used to use this all the time. It was perfect because it was right away. And as you know, mobile devices, you can take that snapshot and save it for later use. The other place that you can do it is online free, like I mentioned, through the speed test check system. And here's the link will be in the description box and we'll post it here above just for reference. The vipkid app also has a computer internet speed check. It also can check if you do want to request support from your the online system with vipkid platform, that you can arrange to run a computer check to check the processing speed, your RAM, all that kind of stuff. They'll do it for you. And it's really easy. It's just good to have in your back pocket. So those are some things that you can do. What I do want to say is that you can also refresh in the classroom. The biggest thing that we should do anytime there's a tech issue is put it in the chat box, and you can even put a little dialogue in there. I wouldn't be too aggressive with the comments, say student left at blah, blah, blah. We get it. We want to be calm, remain calm and friendly when the student goes. I know sometimes if I notice that the student is gone for 2 minutes, I might put my camera off, but leave the audio on, or turn the audio off and leave the video on, because I want them to be able to hear things or be able to check and see. And also if they're gone for 2 minutes, then I definitely check that box for the fireman. I had a student that recently, and this is what just sparked this particular tip run through or walk through, is that he left 15 minutes into class. So we missed the last 10 minutes. That was the review of our reader, and think about the things that we talk about in the end. That's our grammar content area and our phonics learning. We also, in some cases, review sight words. So that was a lot of content that we weren't able to get. However, this student was just on fire and was able to target all of the meet all target objectives for the lesson. So I felt confident that had we been able to meet for the remainder of the lesson, he would have been able to pick it up. As a matter of fact, the lesson was a review and he was confident, and I believe his competency would have helped him complete those tasks had we had it. So I made sure that I referenced that in the feedback, one to the parent and to the LP. As you know, that the parent has the right to say, whether or not they are going to revisit that lesson or again progress to the next one. With this particular learner, because he is a regular, I know where he's at. I feel comfortable that we can review or go heavy on the last part of the section of the lesson in order to make sure that those skills are definitely looked at. So keep that in mind when you're making modifications and listening for tech challenges or experiencing those tech challenges. When you write the feedback, make sure that it's constructive. If you're going to do a sandwich approach, those are really good to put in there as well. Even if it's tech, we want to make sure that we always spin it in realistic and positive light, student-centered, strength-focused, right? Yes, strength-based, student-focused. Okay, so let's review. We check our audio. We can change lines in order to activate our audio or for them to hear us. Changing lines usually picks up or resolves that issue. Again, you can make note, changing lines in case they can't hear you. I always signal for 1 minute, please. Type in the chat box, changing lines, because if there's a parent there and even if English isn't their primary language, they can copy and paste it to a translator just like we do. The next thing is your ping test. My internet is showing signs good. I can put that in there in short, simple sentences, speed test, and finally asking for help. And I usually do that when they know that when we're just really far down and we've done everything that we could to try to get that internet connection stable, contact that fireman, and I will say asking for help, and then just kind of go sit and wait. Sometimes if there's no way that you can see them or hear them, then you can't. Sometimes it becomes a sit and wait, like the particular incident that I experienced earlier this week. As a matter of fact, it was this morning. You just want to hang tight, be calm, be friendly, and because remember, our video is always recording. So if you're bored or you're looking at your phone, that's there on video recording. Always continue to have that professionalism. Again, that's why I like to put the little sticky note on the camera, or just mute, do something, because that extra privacy helps. Now, I will put in a little tip in here that if you are experiencing a tech issues and it's a longer period, then I would say go ahead and get started on that feedback. You're still face to face, you're not really talking, but you can do that feedback, or even a feedback for another class. Put his window or your student's window to one side, and then pull up the learner that you need to do their feedback, and that cuts your time, or make sure that your time is productive. And you can save it if they come back on screen. You can save it and then it's almost like multitasking, but really what you're doing is switching your focus, concentrating on that activity, and then coming back. So there you have it, my quick tips for a teacher IT, or to avoid a teacher IT when the issues seem to be coming on the student side. Just follow those, and that kind of helps support your process. I know that if I've had extended issues, I definitely communicate that to the fireman in the chat box, and that is also support for if there's ever an incident later on. All right, see you next time. Don't forget to check out that other tech video. Bye.